Ideology can be a dangerous thing, especially in the hands of the young and misinformed.
Welcome to Faeryville, the College of the Stars, a place where future leaders are born. It's not about power. It's about fear. Fear of losing control.
Stop. You're ruining my documentary.
How am I ruining your documentary, Miss Chloe?
Can't you just be normal?
You want to be normal?
Rebels and misfits do not belong in Faeryville.
Say it's time we do something about it. We either take over or be taken over.
Doesn't anything worry you? Is there anything that you're afraid of?
Why? Why are you so afraid to take a side?
Hi everybody, thanks for coming. My name is Tzang. If you guys are just here, I'm the director of the film. I'd like to take a moment to introduce the moderator. Her name is Esther, the very good friend of mine. Esther is a published author, a psychotherapist who has worked with families and children for the last maybe 30 years. Around that, Esther is a fully advocate for bullying in Singapore. Even way before bullying was a fictional conversation. I thought it was very interesting to hear her perspective and how she'll moderate a session like this. And she's also the founder of the Coalition Against Bullying for Children. So, Esther, how are you?
Well, I'm good, and congratulations for finally Sylvia being a rolling out against. And I really remember the first time I watched Faeryville. I was like, okay, this is it. The war really need to know this is all about really our society today. And then since very long ago, the way back in 2005, 2006, and then at that time I was already born, but we were really against being ostracized, the misfits, and also bullying, and the outcome, the consequences of being worried and psychological effect it has on a person, a child in particular. Yeah, but today it's not about me and what I have all this about, because it's about this pill, right? And you know what? Then we've reached out of our time, right? Okay, now, you know when you recently won an award?
Which one?
Yeah, powerful, very real. We hear other ones. That isn't
Yes, I think
you can play thing.
in December, Faeryville was selected by the Faeryville Fantastic Film Festival in the Philippines. And I think Faeryville was made in 2015, so it is many years later, but yet it's still being taken out there. Showing again, that was the Philippines in December, just a few days ago. They didn't know about my FLIXX deal, so they rediscovered it, and they felt it was highly relevant. Just about 2 years back, just before the pandemic 2019, it was invited to Romania. It was the closing film of the Central European Film Festival in Timișoara. I think they are celebrating 30 years after the Romanian Revolution, and they wanted a different film, something Indonesia. So I did wonder, with so many films about the revolution, celebrating 30 years of the revolution, what is very real? All these are just more pointless Central European films, Russian films about revolution against Russia. And this is not the problem. what is interesting about Faeryville is that it captured the feelings just before the revolution. The feelings of suppressed emotions, suppressed feelings, and the feeling of uncertainty and powerlessness. So it's interesting how when the students travel to different places, there are different perspectives. I learned a lot Japanese screening. I have even today.
Yeah, so well, the award was for its
It was like a premiere. It was an Asian premiere, so not so much award thing. Other one there are other awards like best story, best original story here.
best original story. Which one was the best original story?
In 2015, Jefferson State has
Jefferson State Festival. It would be best for I think what was originality here.
the score.
Yeah. So actually, I'm actually very curious about what did they be by its originality. Aren't you curious? Like, many of you are still creative students or actualists. Students. We did. Like, his students, maybe. Good. And again, I think here, I'm not sure I will educate this. Counselors, psychologists, right? And you are students in this place. Yes. All right. And maybe the short and what is your nature? Like what is your production? So making films. So wow, and semester one. Okay. What is originality to you? My thought. Think of yourself is about yourself and something that is the in you and you. It comes original you. Yeah. So next question is why do you make this film?
Sure. I made this film as I considered as a tribute on the letter to misfits. But I think in a way also I wanted to make a film to talk about how misfits exist and they want, even if they are self-declared misfits like the nobodies, they are also looking for a place to belong. The title of the film is called Faeryville. It's a place, not a person, not a movie. It's about still looking for a place where we have three different types of, there are many types of misfits in this film. Some who are abandoned, layered, the feelings of abandonment. Misfits who don't want to be misfit in the castaway left with at the end of the pay. Some who are choosing to be outside the system. So don't have paid, but they want to step away from the world of us versus them. And some who are stepping up for people who are cast away, like Belle. And I think that there are so many different characters and so many different ways of expressing that wanting to belong, yet getting cast out and wanting the world to know that they still exist. So it's in this headspace, my space that he created. I wrote there.
And I'm very glad you did it because actually there's a lot to learn from this film. I think it has seen when you're sitting there watching. There's always something that comes up and it's like a lot of emphasis. This is true, or this is so not fair, or like this is heart-wrenching, or like why. And then of course there are difficult topics and that actually start with this movie that there's a difficult conversations, especially for people in power. Because they are in power and they are somehow like the fraternity. It's like learn the fraternity roots, right? That's one of the key words up there. It's like wow, it is about them and something that you're afraid of. And like you said, people want to be contributing and afraid that something bad will happen. So in order to control that but plays this way about it, about life. And I mean, you see that sometimes people in power, they have a lot of means and systems and all in place. Systems are good in place. It means to protect the need. It means to protect those who are in need of support and help. But if it's put in place to protect those in power, and there's something not quite right about it, that is something that becomes a political conversation for people who don't want to talk about it for whatever reason. Maybe it's about themselves, but it's also maybe about some things that can't change. I'm a psychotherapist and work a lot with these kind of issues in my work itself. Yeah. Now, there is a little blue circle there, you see it? This is actually a round hole. It's a hole on the floor. However, one might, he called me because we want to discuss about religion today. And I asked him a question, and Tzang said, no, this movie is like a hole on the floor. And it is a hole that has a host of such difficult conversations in society. Yeah, either for the rich, you can talk about it, either for the powerful, you can talk about it. Even for those who want to help, but they don't even want to say about it. So there's this hole here. Let's imagine this hole to be a real hole with stuff in there. And maybe a sewage. Right? I'm gonna have, if anyone can volunteer to be helping me out, maybe 3. I'm just gonna need you to jet from this side. Yep, starting from here. So try to get across to meet people. Yeah. No? So any volunteer? Any volunteer? 1, 2, 3. That's some. Thank you. Woo, let's keep going. You can either jump over, fly over, like walk over, or like sneak around me, or like yeah, to help them too. Think of a way. Yeah, but you know, like the bigger you're gonna find close situation. Yeah. There's nothing right or wrong about the way. So she walked around it. Let's give it all around. And yeah, thank you very much. We can go back there already. Yeah. I'm gonna ask this question. Second one, anyone? There are ways to come across, right? Anybody else? One long account. Thank you. Thank you. What can I see? Jimmy, are you a student? A friend. Thank you very much, Jimmy. So I'm gonna need you to come across here, like normal generally. Yeah, good. Big jumping. We'll find the sewage hole though. Yeah, get across it. Okay, help. Was up in the mirror for the stupid.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not gonna ask a little bit. You wanna try?
Why not, right?
I see how he does it. It's his whole racket. Let her job. You will follow.
I think I will step in a little bit, step out a little bit. And I just need I'm curious.
And yeah, shall I speak that this is a charm?
Why? No, I feel like working the lifestyle.
Yeah, a little bit.
She's never done this before. I thought, okay, this.
I did, yeah, I did. You see, that hole, as I said, is a sewage hole. And if you were to walk it through it, then walk it into the sewage hole and look like it. Right? I mean, if I get a chance to be and right, you could just, and I said you would just walk across it. If it's not a sewage hole, then I walk across it. It's just a driveway, right? Same for a chimney, right? If it's not a sewage hole, she would just walk over it, walk across it, right? It's very known that there's stuff there that you don't want to touch, don't want to go near. You will It is stuff like this, you don't want to step into it. You don't want to handle it. You want to either go around it. So when you go around it, the word to describe is to describe that behavior, that choice, that action is to avoid it. Right? Avoid it. Avoid trouble, avoid things that you don't like. Now we've got someone interested here who volunteered himself. He dabbled in it a little bit of that person. You just see that? He dabbled in a little bit and what? But I caught you. I caught you very deal at because that's what it's like when you actually wrote this film. You wrote the script, man. Every word. It's like you know for sure what it is. And you are one of those people that I do respect, that you dare to be very real and you dare to say and serious. And because when you were brave about it, right? For all those years it took to film this film, the amount of money and effort and time you go into it, a lot that you have invested and sacrificed as well. Even I know that. You did it regardless. You wanted to finish the show. You want to finish it because there's something so much that you want to see. It takes a lot of courage, and I really want to applaud him for that. Because if you know that I'm out there to film this, and what he went through, it is something that I admire. How many years was that?
I on record I said it's not that I just stopped counting it.
More than 8 years.
Yeah.
You had a lot of money and time and sacrifices. It's his belief and his passion. Why is a person so invested in it? Is it for his own thing? I don't think so. Because if it's for your own thing, you read something and you build something that is more, there's a time behind it, you get something back very quickly. It turned out very quickly. But he did a thing that he believed in. That's just so him. It's very him. I mean, knowing him, right? And it was because of Faeryville that I got to know him. Before that, I never knew him. And after that, I worked with him on some projects, and then I realized this guy just does something that he believes in and is passionate about. Yeah. And actually, in this world, if we have people who dare to believe in the goodness of human person, right, and one in some people's society, right, we won't end up like this film, where those who are in power will be controlled by the criminal. And they do things in the name of justice, in the name of, this is the way they should be done. I mean, if I would go out and critique the reason for the show, right, there's a lot that I can say. And really, I think I will be non-stop in what trees of me.
We did plan this point.
Yeah, right. So actually, this whole is something that we're going to talk about today. And I am open for any comments that can have personally watched it. When some words pop up in your head. And this is time that intro back at someone who produced it. But don't go into tracing too much. I think see what that does help.
On it.
It's not about him anymore as of this second onward. And it's about how do you think this show brings to the audience. Doesn't you like to plot to information? How do you think it brings to the audience? Or do yourself? Maybe can about one word.
I'm genuinely curious as well. I think with each screening that I has, I learn something from the audience. And what the audience make of it.
Yes, man. I'll be sorry, miss. I would say it, but I would say there's a positive seed still when antagonist beyond with happiness for me would with Harry. Then I'll see where the happiness of the leads. Then should that be hit her because the hair all turn off or so.
Yeah.
was confused because to me it depends why it simply do someone profit care. There must be a much really with but it was what we never fusion. So even high about is really at the quest why because the head is fast go days honey revolution might have an to fight back. Just like that rest. I did 3 waters of the city there. Yeah. As a psychotherapist, I would like to explain this from the psychological point of view. Like how the brain works. Right? When a child grows up knowing that everything in life can have it, then they will always think that they are entitled. They can, because they are entitled. If you remember one part of the show, they say they are the Calvary, they're the Calvary fraternity. And because of the Calvary fraternity, you are the privileged. And the privileged can. I hope this summarizes a little bit about the ancillary people as well. They need to say they are entitled because they're the Calvary fraternity. But how does it come about that people think that way? There are a few thoughts that have already very simple. Maybe to say that they feel entitled because they are being groomed. They grow up like they are entitled because of their status. I wish that we still know tomorrow. And the other most powerful, richest person like us. They will get a team of people to make snow in a black box like this or like a theater. To show them what they want to get that privilege to snow. Like your wish is my complaint. Because they can make wishes come true. But only by the hierarchy is up there. So hierarchy is it goes back into the classroom on the school. There are different hierarchy status. You know why they have the star student? They have those who are in prefect and counselors, nothing wrong with that. But that is a status already. That is in itself a status and hierarchy. And it gives power, it gives them some authority, and it gives them, therefore, the entitlement, the privileged ones. Yeah. And what is missing then? So what is the opposite of, like, okay, how can you regulate this, balance this? The final work I wrote on these little papers that I have here is, I'm just showing every very small, but I wrote here injustice. The word I have today for this film today is injustice. There is a lot of injustice in the field. You can see it. And each and every injustice would require an answer. And that will be equality, equity, fairness, a balance. If the scale is balanced, you regulated it. But how can we have equity in society? That takes the effort of everyone in the classroom. That takes the effort of teachers in the classroom to always have equity. Don't call on the same student to put up their hand. Don't ask for the same volunteer all the time. Let's go back to preschool. If you notice in the preschool classroom, I'm not sure if your little siblings or nephews and nieces on the signal here. All of you signal here. Yes? Okay. And you are children? That's not equity, right? Sorry, this is called benign bullying. Because I'm just teasing her or not targeting her. There's this malign bullying that is this cancerous, is vicious, and victimizes. And of course, I nearly victimizing just now, but it's benign. Yeah, not at all. As long as it doesn't feel targeted. But Cole and the rest and Nadia and the other one, they all felt targeted. That's because they're being victimized. Yeah. So what was I talking about? People I went that direction. Okay, equity, right? And okay, preschool, right? Children, right? Preschool. So have you ever seen preschool teachers telling the story? And sometimes they have another child on the neck. The whole little preschool on the neck. Yep. Or they're teaching and have a student on the neck. Now every little 3-4-year-old sitting there will know she's teacher's favorite. Why can't I be on the neck? Why doesn't teacher pick that child? It's the tutors. Oh, my favorite. Right? So what has the teacher done? The teacher has started to show diversity. It just started to show inequality. There's no equity in the room. No fairness. Why is it always that child on the neck? So what amongst the 3-4-year-old preschoolers, and start thinking, right, if I want to be popular with each teacher, I need to become friend.
Yep.
And then you had kindergarten children or like beyond that, there's a person say, I hate school, I don't want to go to school because I've got no friends. Or so and so say, I don't friend you. When they're young, they say, I don't friend you. Yes, where I'm going to. When they're young, they say, I don't friend you. And when you go to primary school, they say, okay, get up, be so and so friend. Others will friend you. Right? When they go to secondary school, they're like, okay, you belong. Are you friends with her? Then okay, we will have our own friends here. That means your friends with her, they're like outfit. Right? And then at the canteen in school, there'll be a table for those who are the nobodies. The loners, the outcast. And then they go to someone who's new to the school is not aware what's going on. Sits on a table for the popular girls, the queen bee. And they sit there and they have the salad and read a book. And the queen bee goes there and it's like, why are you here? You don't belong here. You don't belong here. It's the secondary school language for the kindergarteners. I don't friend you. You're not my friend. We see how the vocab has improved because of the status and hierarchy and the other privileged ones. They're the entitled one. That table belongs to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just to add, I think there's a reason also why I studied in the school, right? I think in a way, if you take a look at school, it's also been interesting that I'm educated saying it. But I mean, just before I was educated, the school environment is like a microcosm of the world. What we are in schools and how we behave in schools are also like a reflection of how the school environment is like a space in which it reflects how it is like in the world. Some people ask me why I chose to make a dystopian film. Singapore films, big Singapore films about Singapore, that why must be dystopian, why must be fantastical? I think there is power in fiction. There's power in something that is fantastical, imaginary. It gives us some kind of a distance. Maybe because there is a little bit of distance, this is fictional. I would love to be more real. I can be more real without things being too close to frightening. If I put this in that. So I'm using school to talk about society. Using school to talk about life. But I'm not using this school as like a Singapore school. It is set in Faeryville. It's set in the minds of teenagers who grew up in pop culture. Or
Good people. And big answers.
yeah, in a way.
Yeah, it's the box up. Any questions or thought? Yep, I inhale choosing a historical bet. Inhale, you will look quite go to stay. And we understand what the application is for.
I'm difficult also to take care of.
Correction. The most, we're not a shopper. I thought,
So we need to both defeat the knowledge, with skills.
what heard the first on smartables. It was ever had an invasion. But he felt like that.
Unless the
So that's his protagonist.
like grit, hit, peace.
I before we'll let you go with that. But the same in part you will see help like the word health each.
And it's sad that in the jockey, full counts, a couple bites to word that all. Yes, that's like insult. And I thought that if nobody is especially, I made without you.
Yeah. Right saying he said at the time, Pop.
And I was waiting for, and I already treated Mama, but I didn't get it. Belongs to this side. That's it's so. I think that was an indecent fixed by Benchu. Yeah, I think that. Well, think about it. The not significant from my. I didn't know it was a victim to pay. Here's the tire in the attention. I always just came to weekly. Why the answer? So dismiss it. Whoa, wash. On the need or like that. What would you read that nobody's had dismiss it? No, I know that's the third like with the commenting like, oh yeah, he just always that and it goes out this palm thirty like very high Dutch that. Oh, you remember towards the end of the sequence in professors, these teenagers were always want, in 60% like that, but in beginning, but rain and bush, because the actually tanning, but the cat would be so not sleep, I can't recall. I already thought I was in change that three. He cited that anyway, suddenly, right, we expect it. Whereas I lost, he asked that, okay, but I don't always. I have a thought. Was a bit weird and that is okay. I think I'm share a little bit. I think the question is more about why did this film, why are characters in this film so dismissive of other characters or different? Is it why are these characters so rebellious? Just really actually it's fine. I think for FLIXX, and so I mean, no, I saw a lot of it. Wow, yeah, it's that he just needs this kid before there was part people being had over him. What's the device that they did defeat another girl? I mean, think about apology also with that the same. He's using the tragedy as an excuse to shut down others, and I think this still is a critique on both authority establishment as well as a critique on roles. I think that's the reason why this story is so hard to like. When he was released in 2015, there was no operation. Of course, the commercial privilege wasn't a big thing. When it was 2015, there were shootings in the US. There were school shootings. The school shootings happened in 2009, 2010. They made it very difficult to make the biggest film. And when a film like this is released, and this is being written and made, there was a lot of concern because people don't understand where I'm coming from. There is a danger of people perceiving there must be a lot of sympathy and empathy to self-radicalize teenagers, right? But if you talk a lot of people to understand that I am giving a voice to the powerless and the voiceless. And maybe I need to be, and this still, if you look at the script and the story, it is very critical for establishment society, like a dystopian film. At the same time, instead of loving my characters, my misfits, I'm also really harsh with them. The decisions that they made. Decisions that they made because they want to finish, they want to build these friends. CK wants to build these friends. In order to impress his friends, he blows up the principal's office. And the jokes that they talked about it before. Then are characters who look like they are standing up for the misfits, but later they themselves get tired. And how they turn on each other. And I also say this, there are a lot of people with a lot of questions when they watch this film all the time. And there was the most recent one that asked me why would it bell attack here? It's a question that I didn't want to fully explain because I think it is irrelevant and it should be understood. But I think just to give for the fact of not trying to give one answer to a question already, I would say that sophisticated authoritarian systems do not need to punish or kick down people. And sometimes the sophisticated one would do it with their hands clean and will let them take down. And that's chilling. That's scary. Yeah, it's very scary. But it is not. It's not just something that a writer writes. It's something that you see happening. And I wrote this in the part 2007, 2008. I wrote it and there are very many revisions of it. And so often, I look at the news in 2010, 2012, the Occupy movement, the monoliths, the hacking of government websites, paper speech. It made it so difficult to release the film in 2015 versus the webcam he's talking about. She has hair that looks like gold. And she talks with that kind of confidence or smugness, which is very cold. Like, there's a very important point where it's both your point and your point. It's the idea of ostracizing, right? When society group, dominant group, has already decided who is the other, who is not us, which also means who is not that, who is not the chosen one, the chiefs of the stars, which also means that everybody else can utter their things. I don't need to utter the thing. I've already uttered you, admit it. Safe for if you all want to speak into the bigger group, you can take on this person and you can see her with Dell. She has lots of friends involved. She has friends, she's popular, she's dynamic, she's powerful, too intelligent for own good. And after she is out of the limelight, she's free game. Anybody can take on her safe. Even pin her on something that she did not do. She has no voice, just behind closed doors. She says, just say that she admits it. It's history. But I think it does happen.
Does anybody think that similar situations can happen in society? That means the person didn't do something, but the person can scapegoat it, takes the blame. It can be anything, a group project in a group, in a school. You're nodding your head that, he should be at.
Just going on the subject said about everything. There's actually read the marketing, right? I mean, that's the public thing. So we have to believe every day of someone so that you will like the one. You will not.
Yeah. Anyone with any other views? Yes.
Yes. I really want to read the schedule, but I think it's very to see how Faeryville does talk a lot about real issues. And I did a few several about I watched it that over this book. I had to go actually. And how was it? I think he was in my class and I let him watch the earlier cuts, no color grading, no music, nothing. So I downloaded, let him watch few clips.
Privilege runner. The whole thing had like all not to be done against the never cook at other. Oh wow. Here's the step disability because watching it. These people you what they mention like might be hyper realistic, might artistic go back to on reach. And it's now I think because they're being such a like lot of real setting, lot of rumor setting, even person very new issues come to be not only become very comfortable to talk about because I think also watching it here you can see this deep sadly that beside the video as I made it so like a ways. But the nobodies are not like why you focus on everyone. If you're doing it, they just be like me. Not you know the realizing if not everybody that was correct. Just sending client about why are only jokes. Not about why are they like
but they didn't need this right? This is how I did. Yeah, I mean, this the cut of today. It's really okay to be with, to be with and be the one that's like driven by like, I read that in build the last side and black so they near the soul. Yeah, it speaks a lot about, it speaks a lot about why we couldn't be it, why am I still with Michael? Why I choose to the for me this, because I mean I think it's a good that far. That makes like people are like, oh, no, they only had thought you see that about it's besides we have people for me. I think that it's something that is very nice what they did really is still so relevant. I think it. What I should be of us watching it be now like the market is a lot in the question. What should they got? Like you think the other right work up. What do you think? No, what do you guys think? It should stay back. You can look at me at the I think he looks pretty confident. I think he's a person who is dead set on finding something about himself in his life. Like, where is he from? What does he do? And this is what they ask him. There are two paths that you can choose. One that prepares you for greatness and all that world has to offer. The other is the road of the misguided, happy with resistance and romantic distractions. And then after that, he chooses to hang out with some losers and talk about cookies and there. It was convenience maybe. And do we sometimes, maybe because we don't want to not this group, so we just sit with the other group. Then she had the choice to be with the Calvary, yet a handshake. But maybe it's out of hate, out of anger, or something that he wants to stand against. Yes. Just want to add something which is really, really fun. You'll notice that WH thick. It's called WH thick, I think. And feel layer. And WH thick is about people like just worldly shit. So I'm just going to pretend that was smart and we'll all just be the nobodies and like as famous losers. But layer is the complete opposite. Layer is real stuff backwards, or we're opposed to fake. And the real one thought that was quite fun.
That's where your originality comes from. We being on a couplets. About Rhea, the question about why to create talent. Why did he do what he did, right? Did he choose to be part of the nobodies and do that? I don't think he made that choice because he wants to. He wanted to at the beginning. He was just, he saw the injustice. He never wanted to see that. If you notice his birthday in school be voting, he didn't want to vote at the public. He's doing you. Those were about the guys. And then the hi and poor. He didn't even say hi and just walked right through. He stood there for a good almost 1 minute. Count in the film row. Almost 1 minute. Enough to say he stood there, talked to me, and he was thinking. And it was like, no, you know what, I don't care, he just stood up straight. Leo was being himself all the time. He didn't want to be a part of any county groups. But in the end, he chose to stand up for injustice. He chose to care. He chose to own up for something new to. We chose to be the one to pick up the gun and they're trying to rescue and save. He sacrificed himself.
In a way.
Yet, the hero of the show,
I don't know it is a hero. Look at me, it's very much still about sport events from the beginning to the end, it's still always sport.
Yes, he had his own score to fight.
Yeah, he's just trying to make sense of the scale. He wants answers from this guy who sees so faultless with the power to fault others. And he wants to question why really it's still there. Yeah. So we have our justice warrior, which is now right, the activist, but also the activist, the person who stands up for justice for others, not herself, who sees conspiracy in the system. But I think the thing that I took it further from a rebel narrative is that she's tired. She doesn't believe in everything that she fought for anymore. And that is so real. Like, I think you have been activist for a long time as well. You also understand the fatigue that comes from the job of helping, of saving, and the feeling of being misunderstood. And because of the cause that you have chosen, how you are over target, and because you have chosen to fight for a cause that is not part of a preferred narrative, you've chosen to stand up for a certain voiceless group of people that I would really want to give a voice to. And I think you see that in life. It's we don't identify, or don't have words for it in 2014, 2015. But I think in the last few years, with Trump, post-Trump, all that, you could see the whole aspects of that narrative. You could see the whole stories about social division, even with the refugee crisis, people coming in and how they are underrated, the group people, and how there are also people who are fighting for them, and after that they get tired. It's a reflection. It's like a social mirror to reality, and the things that we don't have words for. And maybe that's why I love cinema. That's why I love film. That's why I love fiction. Because before I had my words for it, I could tell it with story. I could tell it with images. I don't even have these words that I sometimes say now, but I knew that there was a feeling and an emotion that I could capture through the language of stories.
I can resonate with what you said, and actually it just brought me, just got me thinking. When I first started, there were just 4 of us young ladies, young men,
Kept searing.
at the college that exploring for children. Before we really started that organization, we first went around thinking, we look for people who are in the field of mental health, or people who are housing, because they got a big organization for children with youth. So we spoke to some of these people, and in particular, one powerful kind of psychiatrist in her big organization for mental health. We finally got an appointment to see him, and then we sat in front of him, telling him our idea of why we want to set up a non-profit organization that is speaking up for children who are being bullied or youth who are being bullied, and how we want to prevent suicide as a result of being bullied. And then he said to us, "Why are you wasting all your time doing this?" He's very popular, like, he community, a great guy, but we were like 4 girls, like 4 young ladies, like, what? But we kept quiet because we still respected him, right? Because he's all up there, all powerful. And then he said, then we like kind of like, because we want to prevent suicide. Because it's not that when a person's victimized, pushed to the edge. If you can't fight back, you flight. If you can't run away, they end their own life. And that's why there's been suicide as a result of being touched and bullied, and got very unknown. Even if they're surrounded by friends or like classmates or people who they sit at the table, hanging around, like they're all talking about their own situations, our own stories and drama, everything like that. And the same time table or canteen, but they're still very alone, very quiet, they don't really have a great friend or someone that they can talk about, or that, they're very alone. And they're actually, even in their own group of friends, they can be ostracized too, excluded. They do want to go forward, but they're never because his, what do you call him? It's being excluded. It's benign, not purposely, like to hurt, but it hurts. So actually, suicide as a result of being bullied is very real. So, and depression, developing general anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and snapping and going down with yourself or going to shoot. It's all very real. So then what he said to us was that, you know what, if anyone is suicidal, they'll come to me at a hospital, we will handle them. But sometimes if they do go to the hospital and stay there, maybe a little bit, but some don't. So there's been suicide as a result of being bullied, but it's not being recorded. Meaning to say it's not escape from. It goes unwritten. It's a difficult conversation. It is a difficult conversation. So we're not eliminating, or maybe we should give up. But there is the world is full. How can we? So in the end, you know why I say no, all the more, we need to do something about it.
This way, yeah, really.
And then the clever that's Kexi.
Yeah.
Yeah, even, sorry, you know from Emily here? He's a backbox at those schools. I've been sure about it. They say that there's no bullying in school. I did a research for 4,000 out of 4,000 students and I proved it. Because I said in Singapore, the way about it is to show them with numbers. Like, you know, authorities and fraternities, you have to show them the numbers, evidence and all that. So for me, that 4,000 collection of survey research, we showed that 1 in 8 is bullied at least once in school. 1 in 12 bullied at least on a weekly basis once, at least once. 1 in 4 cyberbullied at least once. That was all the way back in 2006. Then CNN interviewed me and whatever, my team went, okay. Then we went to Emily and Emily said 0.03 person, only 0.03% is bullied out of 100 data they collected. There are 100 students they surveyed. And it took them quite a while to get the then was Paul Foss, the journalists. So it was on Channel News Asia, and 0.03 out of 100 students is bullied, reported ever been bullied. How is published that from 1%? The 3/4%?
Choosing the narrative, right?
Right. The person came that says it's non-bullying, these the people. Said. Yeah, the bullying never experienced anyway. Racism, what? And also, you know them all. I got the best power. That's right. Wait, no, I'm going right to that feeling and thought to it.
Who are the that man? Basic things on normal.
Yes,
They will always use. And up the back.
yes.
Really creepy. Well, I'm a little up.
I was there at Wall. The journalist was very abolished. Anyway, she went ahead and reported it on CNN. Now, how did CAPC, Coalition Against Bullying, Butchering Youth, made it today? Then and then over the number of years, we were able to now have a law against bullying in Singapore. We had a law rolled out in 2013. And finally, someone asked me, Esther, you just tell me what we need, and I'll do it. Tell me who we want to invite to this conference because we want to go against bullying. I'm Minister Polo. Call me into the office one day. And we had that rolled up. And it's under the Law Protection of Harassment Act. And now you can actually see I'm being bullied. And it has not stopped. And I'm being hurt. And all of that. I can go on and on about bullying, but I think I will stop somewhere here that we do have a law against bullying. If you put that law in the world map, which country has a law against bullying? Singapore is already on the map. Australia has that too. Yeah, but who are the people who helped us? Singapore, not Singapore government, not Singapore authorities. It was people, it was a group of people, Australians in Australia, who actually, when I went there with my friends, and then we said we were attending a bullying, anti-bullying conference. You know what they gave me? A whole library of CDs and books on anti-bullying advocacies. And they actually extended their hand. So I was at the round table of university state against bullying.
It comes back to the power of the independent spirit, right? Sometimes it's wrong to always work with only the status quo, because the status quo has its own place, right? He's supposed to keep things in order. But it is the outliers, the people who think differently, the people who greatly see something before the world sees it first. And they do it, for me, I do it through art, through films. My heroes do it through music. She do it through activism, through advocacy, through talking to systems. And we all have different ways of doing all the new things, but not to forget this indie spirit, this nobody spirit, this outcast spirit, the outliers, the ones who see before the world does. That makes sense. They kind of like has a place to contribute for the betterment of society. Even though at the moment right now, society looks at what you guys are getting here. So I really respect what I said. Maybe for me to round it up before to bring it back to bullying, I like to share with you a little bit of a reflection I wrote just in that yesterday before the screening. I was thinking, how can I mean, Faeryville is so confrontational. But like that, it's so challenging, it's so confrontational. But our respect for holding space festival overall, it's what new conversation can be had about bullying. Now I really see that our conversation plays really animated. It's so different from bullying is bad, say no to bullies. Now I wanted to add a little bit more. Don't mind, I'll just read this passage. Alright? Respect first.
Please, Carol, still please staging.
I'm still a teenager. I have to read it here, right? The thing about early conversation is that as a campaign, sometimes we are forced to oversimplify the conversation. Too often, the bullied who cry bully, are sometimes themselves guilty of bullying. I don't know if you noticed that. How can we have a conversation about bullying that is under change, real change, beyond just finger pointing? And I think that's so far, that's the kind of conversation that we are comfortable with when we talk about bullying. I bullied him. He bullied me. Look, he bullied me. Now we have to do about it. Look at me. Hashtag say no to bullying. And then what happens? I'm getting a lot of people that are getting up after I put the figure in less more than a decade together. This seems to be the only way you know how to talk about bullying. Oh, look, somebody is after this little girl all night. Hashtag say no to bullying. Hashtag anti-bullying. Look at what. Let's all stand up for her. Suddenly everybody gets up and we just destroy a person. Online, offline, cancel culture, woke culture. It's easy to identify bullying when one is a victim, but the truth about bullying is that we don't realize it, we don't notice it. Sometimes we tribalize it when we ourselves are contributing to the bullying of others. Because anti-bullying can sometimes lead to mob behavior. The real conversation is not who is the bully or how we should punish the bully, but rather, how have we been guilty of bullying oppressive people ourselves? Do we as the good conformist behaviors that sometimes lead us to join the bully? As a teacher, I see it. Sometimes in order not to be bullied, I join it. Have we ever used our power, our privilege, or position to put others down? Or have we tried to put others down because of our own insecurities? And you see that in the film as well. So maybe the conversation about bullying is not about othering anymore. We need to end that cycle of hate and cycle of pain. When I talked to Esther some time back, when we had this conversation of bullying, I did say to the group, right, the coalition, it's not about going against the bully or targeting the bully, it's about going against bully. If not, this cycle continues. So I think in the spirit of holding space, we can be more reflective. She can look back the bully in us, the bully immediately, that monster is sometimes very close to home, then maybe you change that rather than to go out witch hunting. You show up to the spot as now. And maybe with that, we can be kinder to each other. And that there is space even for the losers, the misfits, the outlaws, the idiots. And yeah, a better place for all of us. Hopefully that they're not in our place.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Nick, and that is why we've always taken this approach. If a school calls out and there's bullying, or a parent calls up, we usually take one very helpful approach, and that is called a shared concern. You're concerned about the bullying situation, allows a concern. We're concerned about the victim's family, and also the bully. Why is the bully bullying? And when everyone sits together in a round circle is talk about the bullying situation, where you have a shared concern, it usually creates one meeting point and can change the mood where. This approach has been used in Australia, Canada, and some countries, and we're trying to bring that back to Singapore as well. It's quite tough. So what's up? You can try. Yep.
So here's the outline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Zane.
All right, so I want to say thank you to everybody for coming and giving a chance this strange and film, my Faeryville, coming screening this festival. You take the courage to just come by and check this out. I appreciate your time. I hope that you can learn something in spite of this setup. And thank you very much. I thank you. Just. This one, but it's like a QR code. If you feel free, if you have any something to reflect, please do it. Thank you so much.